My friends and I had a blast until I noticed them acting distant. They ignored me, and then I caught them laughing while I cried. This is going to be quite an extensive message, but I felt the need to share my thoughts and would like your perspectives on it. To begin with, this friendship group is my close circle from the past year since I, F18, commenced college. Let's refer to them as girls A, B, and C, all F18. We share a genuine bond, and our group tends to be the one that laughs the most during classes. We've always maintained a strong connection and have never had any arguments. We have this inside joke about girl B having a crush on a guy in our class, although it was never serious. We would tease her by asking, "Oh, isn't that your boyfriend sitting right there?" It was just a lighthearted banter. Recently, we attended a seminar at another college for our course. He sat down next to me while the other girls sat to my right. He kept initiating conversation, so I responded when appropriate because our class is very close-knit and nearly everyone is friendly with one another. Throughout the seminar, I noticed that whenever he conversed with me, girls B and A would whisper or exhibit a strange attitude. You know that judgmental look friends give each other. They exchanged that look multiple times, and I just kept telling myself that I was overthinking. Girl C, who was closest to me, seemed exhausted and uninterested in talking. I made efforts to engage her in conversation, but she acted aloof. Girls and B were chatting so much that it became quite loud, prompting me to ask them repeatedly to lower their voices out of respect for the presentation. They practically ignored me, which was unusual, and shared knowing glances. While I did interrupt their conversation to remind them to tone it down, it genuinely needed to be said. Since that day, their behavior has been increasingly suspicious. I began to notice instances where the three of them engaged in discussions even when I was clearly present. I felt confused and left out because we typically shared everything as a group, so I naturally inquired about what was happening. Their default response was simply, "Nothing." I started to feel excluded while walking together, often finding myself left behind. Despite being a quick walker, they would seemingly speed up without me. There were several occasions when I had to call out, "Guys, please wait for me." For 2 weeks, they made me experience a whirlwind of emotions. They would joke around with me like usual, only to suddenly have hushed conversations without me. It felt unsettling. I also noticed that when I spoke to them about something, they would adopt a blank, tired expression, and then the three of them would simultaneously begin texting on their phones. This made me overthink, leading me to wonder if they had created a group chat without me. During those last 2 weeks, I kept pressing them to reveal what was bothering them. I expressed my feelings, saying things like, "I feel like you all are upset with me. If you are, please let me know so I can apologize." They brushed it off, insisting that I was overreacting and that they had no idea what I was talking about. Just 2 days ago, they completely ignored me, which came as a shock since the previous day we had been laughing and joking as usual. When I approached our regular table, they were busy discussing a TikToker or something similar. I sat down and tried to make eye contact, but no one looked up to acknowledge me. I sat there for a full 5 minutes without a single glance in my direction. At one point, there was complete silence, and nobody bothered to engage with me. I'm not someone who usually confronts situations seriously, so I jokingly remarked, "I'm so sad nobody said hi to me." I feigned sadness and laughed, referencing our inside joke where if one of us didn't respond, we would say things like, "It's because you don't like me," or "Just admit you don't want to talk to me," followed by exaggerated pouting. I've been doing this a lot because they have genuinely been ignoring me. Throughout the day, they continued their conversations, excluding me from everything. Girl A, who is considered the nicest among them, at least attempted to talk to and smile at me, while the others outright ignored me. After our meeting at the table, I started to feel a gut feeling that they had spoken negatively about me prior to my arrival. I confided in Girl C, asking, "Did I do something to upset you all? Because if I did, please let me know. I've been feeling off and left out due to your behavior." Girl C just appeared blank and told me she didn't know what to say, suggesting that I was overreacting. I began to tear up from the mental stress this situation was causing me, but I tried to take her words to heart. As the day went on, Girl B didn't look at me or acknowledge me once. I noticed her being playful and goofy with the others, but when it came to me, silence. No eye contact, just blank expressions. I sat across from her and mustered the confidence to ask if she was upset with me. She replied no. I then pointed out that I had seen her joking around with the others but not with me. She acted indifferent and didn't respond. After that, we proceeded to our last lecture of the day. Feeling frustrated, I decided to confront them. I politely asked if I could talk to them and requested that they genuinely share what was going on without any games or sugarcoating. I expressed my feelings about the previous weeks. They stated they needed some time to discuss before addressing me, and I allowed them that space. 30 minutes passed, with me waiting quietly for them to finish. Eventually, they turned to me, and Girla began to speak on their behalf. She started by saying, "It's not that we dislike you or anything. We love you dearly and think you're an incredible person. However," from there, things took a strange turn. In summary, they expressed frustration with me for unintentionally interrupting them during serious discussions about family issues, for often taking the lead in group projects, for overusing our inside joke about not liking one another, and for saying, guys, too often when I got excited, causing them to forget what they were going to say. I listened carefully as they elaborated on their feelings, and I began to sincerely apologize. I became emotional, realizing that I had inadvertently hurt them, and I expressed that I never intended to cut them off. I also asked why they didn't ask me to wait when I interrupted them. Most of the times, when I accidentally interrupted, they seemed to be in a dead silence, not actively conversing. I took it as a signal that I could jump in and share. I felt encouraged to express my own experiences and grievances, mentioning that I too had been interrupted by them on multiple occasions. Whenever I spoke about something serious, they would find moments to make jokes, getting busy laughing to the point of forgetting I was speaking. Then Girla started smiling oddly and said, "But didn't you do that to us too?" I acknowledged that I had, and I had already taken responsibility for it. They continued to sigh and roll their eyes whenever I became emotional. I felt lost because these girls had never behaved this way before. They used to exhibit so much empathy. Afterward, I needed space and left without saying anything else. The following day in class, I tried to engage Girl C, as she was involved in one of my group projects, but she didn't look at me or respond. I also caught her and Girl whispering together. Additionally, I received comments from classmates who mentioned that those girls seemed to be giving them dirty looks. Everything felt so abrupt and odd since they are generally some of the sweetest girls around. When we were a group, we were essentially friends with everyone. Afterward, I went to the bathroom, and coincidentally, the three of them decided to go to the same one. They peeked in, saw me, walked away, and started laughing as if they had just made the funniest joke ever. It felt incredibly hurtful and like a stab to my heart. I sent a message to Girl yesterday expressing how I felt that their annoyance towards certain aspects of my behavior didn't excuse them ignoring and treating me the way they did. I have not received a response and saw that my message was read. Am I overreacting, or is it really not that significant? If possible, could you please offer me some advice on this situation? Story 2. My fiancé, 23F, is second-guessing our relationship and future with me, 24M. Help. A bit of a backstory. My fiancé and I have been in a relationship for nearly 3 years and relocated to a different state together. We have taken 2 international trips, one of which I proposed to her. Early in our relationship, I experienced some unhappiness and briefly ended our relationship. However, I made the error of not expressing my concerns or feelings to her and jumped to conclusions on my own, which I realize is not the correct approach. We have since resolved those issues, and I have improved my communication skills. The problem: at the beginning of this year, 2025, my fiancé began to act a bit distant, which I initially overlooked, but her behavior worsened. She started mentioning a new male coworker, let's refer to him as X. She has always been skilled at making male friends, which has never posed a problem. X seemed particularly interested in her, but I knew she was loyal and would not act inappropriately. However, things remained off between us, and I felt an uneasy instinct because X was frequently mentioned in conversation, and she spoke about him every day. One night, I decided to check her phone and discovered that she was exhibiting signs of indirect flirting with him over text. She would only respond to his flirtations rather than initiate them. We had established early in our relationship that flirting is equivalent to cheating. I confronted her, and she exhibited significant remorse. I love her, so I worked through the situation with her. Weeks passed, and things still felt off, prompting me to check her phone again, where I found her discussing X with her friends. She also hinted that her recent Instagram posts did not include me for a specific reason, and that not wearing her engagement ring felt liberating. I approached her again, ultimately giving her an ultimatum: choose between X and me. After a lengthy discussion over several days, it became clear that her distance stemmed from shifting priorities, personal feelings, and commitment issues, which I was aware of from the beginning. She decided to take a break to figure out what she truly wants and hopes to miss me and realize her mistakes. The following evening, we had not yet determined our sleeping arrangements, so we were still in the same house in separate beds. She mentioned going out with a girlfriend, something she rarely does at night, and I quickly suspected it was X. I later confronted her, and she confessed but claimed nothing occurred. It is important to note that X is not her usual type. He is 4 years younger, lacks ambition, is out of shape, and has a derelict lifestyle. She merely enjoyed the attention and the thrill of something new. I eventually stayed at a friend's house for a few nights. She disabled her location services and communicated with me very rudely whenever necessary. My profession is finance broker. She wanted to purchase a car and intended to finance it through me. I agreed to assist her and spent 3 days, including the weekend, inquiring about cars, arranging test drives, gathering information, securing her approval, lowering the car's price, and leveraging connections to make it happen. She became upset that it took too long, berating me with questions rather than directing them at the dealership, leading her to call me ignorant and careless. I know she could not have handled this inquiry independently. She relies on me for such tasks. Later, she expressed that getting the car was more important than repairing our relationship. She continues to speak rudely to me, as if I have done something wrong. After a few nights apart, we attempted to discuss our issues. She revealed that she might have feelings for X, but they no longer communicate. We attempted to work things through, and I had already planned an elaborate surprise for Valentine's Day, which was just a few days away, hoping it might rekindle our love. My grand gesture was well-intentioned, but our interactions felt awkward. She appreciated the weekend I organized, but focused more on complaints than expressing gratitude. I invested a significant amount of money and went out of my way to tailor the weekend to her desires, but this didn't feel sufficient for her because she developed a stomachache, which disrupted our plans, and then blamed me for not planning better. We tried to revert to our normal routine in an effort to mend the relationship, but it still felt somewhat forced. Nonetheless, she was making an effort, which I appreciated. Note: I manage all the rent and bills, cook for myself, and assist with her meal prep. She is meal prepping for her business, handle laundry, wash dishes, and do cleaning generally. This allows her to concentrate more on her business, to which I also contribute financially and in small ways wherever possible. Things began to improve again, and with our engagement party approaching, we felt optimistic that we would be all right by then. While I recognize this optimism might be naive, love often leads one to act foolishly. Last night, however, I once again had an uneasy feeling, and while she was in the shower, I looked through her messages. X was no longer a prominent figure in her conversations, which was a relief, but there were other male colleagues texting her with questionable intentions. She had informed a girlfriend via text that if X wanted her, he could have her, and that while she wanted our relationship to work, she had temporarily lost feelings for me. I brought up her messaging and planning dates with other men, alongside her feelings for X. She denied having feelings for X and stated that her engagement with other men was something she was trying to avoid, but kept postponing due to fear of being labeled promiscuous if she canceled. She insisted that she told those men she was working on our relationship, yet they disregarded her. Notably, she concluded her messages with X for them, but not for me. This morning, she woke early for an event and began yelling about not having a fitted shirt, only oversized t-shirts. She blamed me for not ordering a particular shirt months ago that would have been suitable for the occasion. She continued to lash out and held me responsible for various issues. I offered to quickly prepare her meals and some breakfast, but she declined, later complaining that she now had to prepare her own meals. She also criticized me for the laundry I completed the night before, questioning my judgment for washing whites when she needed darks. I had asked her the previous night if she required anything washed, to which she replied, "I don't know." During these outbursts, I feel helpless. Nothing I say seems to provide comfort. I cannot engage in active listening or remain silent, as that irritates her, leaving me unsure of how to proceed, especially since she has told me she does not know what she wants me to do. Over the past 2 months, I have experienced emotional turmoil, being treated poorly, then uplifted, only to feel degraded again. I recognize that I do a significant amount for her and our relationship. I also acknowledge that, like every relationship, there are areas where I can improve. However, I struggle with communication at times because she reacts quickly and belittles me, leading me to avoid discussions, which exacerbate the situation. I do much for her, whereas she does relatively little for me. Even in the bedroom, we engage only about once a month because she is typically disinterested or too fatigued. She has shown little interest in addressing my needs, whether emotional or physical, often due to discomfort. I am always eager to meet her needs, often tenfold. I have discussed this with her multiple times, and she claims to be working on it, but 2 years have passed. However, she has seemed particularly interested in concerning bedroom issues when I have caught her in compromising situations. I am aware that there is more to this story, and certain aspects may appear open-ended due to the necessity for additional context. Yet, I truly do not wish to end the relationship. When we are together, she is my world and encompasses everything I desire for a happy life. Please offer me your honest perspective. I need an unbiased opinion since friends and family may not provide clarity. I understand that you are only hearing my side of the story, but what would you do in my situation? Thank you. Story 3. My friend's wife, F29, made him M27, block me F27. Am I the problem, or is she insecure? I have not communicated with this acquaintance in approximately a year. To clarify, we last spoke in August 2024. This detail is significant because his partner, female, 29, explicitly stated she does not wish for me to maintain contact with him, male, 27. To summarize, I traveled to his home country in Europe for a summer job, from July to the end of August 2024. We had not exchanged words in a year, since July 2023, but I reached out to him upon my arrival, July 2024. He returned my call, but time slipped away and I failed to respond. After 2 weeks of vacation and another 2 weeks later, after starting my job fell through. With more free time, it is now August 2024, I contacted him again and received no reply. Interestingly, while on vacation, I visited a friend, a female, 25, who hails from the same country as him. She shared one of my Instagram stories. His girlfriend, who follows my friend, viewed the story and subsequently went to my account to view my story as well. Following this, he abruptly ceased viewing my stories. I found it peculiar that he stopped watching them right after she looked at mine. It seemed deliberate. After numerous unanswered calls, I left a voice message inquiring if I had done something amiss. An hour later, he finally returned my call. That was when he shared, "We cannot be friends. I am engaged to be married. My fiancé is uncomfortable with our friendship." It turns out, when I revealed my feelings for him over 18 months ago, now 2 years ago, he informed his then girlfriend, now wife, about it. She expressed discomfort regarding our friendship. Background information. When I initially expressed my feelings, January 2023, he made it clear that he regarded me solely as a friend. I respected his position and distanced myself, recognizing I needed time to process my emotions. 6 months later, I reached out again, July 2023. He appeared eager to converse and even mentioned we would call again the following day. That day never arrived. Now I comprehend why. He had informed his girlfriend, now wife, about our reconnection, and she instructed him to cut ties with me. Fast forward to last summer, August 2024, when I was in his country and reached out, still unaware of why he had ghosted me a year prior. That was when he told me he could no longer be my friend. I expressed that it felt like a permanent farewell, and he replied, "No, this is not a goodbye but a see you later." That was our final conversation, and I have not contacted him since. Now, here is where things get intriguing. A few months later, November 2024, I unexpectedly came across a recommended Instagram story for a new account to follow. It featured a dog account belonging to him. Initially, I assumed it was his account since all the captions were in English. For context, his wife speaks a limited amount of English, being Chinese, and typically writes captions in Chinese. I thought, oh, how delightful. Many of our mutual friends follow it, why not? That was a mistake. The following day, the individual in question unfollowed me from his personal account. Can you guess who operated the dog account? His wife. So, not only did she request him to unfollow me, but the next day, she followed my best friend on the dog account while not following me. I was the sole exception in not being followed back. Is this just pettiness? A few days later, she shared an adorable video of herself and her husband studying his native language together on the dog account. I found it slightly random for a dog account, but okay. After posting this video story, she followed me back. I might be overthinking, but it felt intentional, like she aimed to convey a message showcasing her ideal relationship. Regardless, I shrugged it off, considered it a cute video, and moved forward. But wait, there's more. Last week, she posted a screenshot of her story views, concealing most accounts but highlighting one specific account. Her caption read, "My father's ex-girlfriend paid attention and followed me. In fact, if you are free, you can focus on your boyfriend or go to the gym together." For context, she composes her captions as if from the dog's perspective, except for the video of them studying together, which was in the first person, humorous enough. You might be wondering, what's the big deal? Well, the individual she singled out and publicly called out was his actual ex-girlfriend, whom he separated from in September 2021. I thought, wow, publicly calling out his ex for merely viewing an Instagram story about a dog. This seems unwarranted. It was not only humiliating for the ex, but also rather unkind. It even felt like she was subtly fat-shaming with the gym comment, "Maybe I'm overreacting. I don't know." Considering her underlying animosity towards me, I could not help but feel that she was also delivering a passive-aggressive message toward me without directly addressing me. Regardless, it made me recognize how insecure and emotionally immature she is. Despite all this drama, I continued with my day, until the following day. I checked the dog account and lo and behold, I was blocked. For what reason? I have no idea. I had nothing to do with the ex or anything she had posted. Out of curiosity, I checked whether I was blocked from their personal accounts as well. I was not. Until a day later. Suddenly, I found myself blocked from my acquaintance's personal account too, the individual I have been discussing. This occurred not just on my main profile but also on my backup account, which I am unsure how he even discovered. Talk about a tight situation. His wife, however, she did not block me. Final thoughts. Initially, I considered reaching out to her to possibly clarify any misunderstandings or reassure her that I pose no threat. But the more I contemplate it, the clearer it becomes that if she truly wanted to engage in that conversation, she would have. At the end of the day, she has made her decision regarding me, and I refuse to expend my energy attempting to alter her perception. Feel free to share your thoughts. What would you do in my position? Would you message him? Move on and respect the established boundaries. Any opinions on this situation? I want to clarify that I have thought about messaging him to gain insight into what transpired, yet I do not want to disrespect the boundaries that have been set. Yet I inexplicably feel compelled to reach out to him.